Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Hear Our Voices. This is your host, Kay Did, and we have today our guest is Jessica. She's going to tell you a little bit about herself and things she does for the homeless community, and also a little bit about herself and what she has gone through with her life experience. So, also before I get into that, make sure you follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. If you want to follow me, Kay Did Davis, on Instagram and on Twitter. You might find me other places if you Google, try hard enough. And that'll be all for right now, guys. Sit back and relax and enjoy the series. So, hi, Jessica. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself and the journey that you are on right now. Well, was on before, I should say, it's past tense. So, can you tell me a little bit about that right now, please?
Sure. I mean, it's still ongoing, right? Because it never really stops.
Right.
But it started in 2019 when I found myself facing eviction. So I went to my local HRA to apply for help. I was able to apply for a voucher. At that time, I was pregnant with my firstborn son. Um, it took a couple of months of really fighting back and forth to finally get the approval from the city to get the voucher itself and to get the shopping letter. And then once I got the shopping letter, I found myself in a place where I didn't know what to do, what to expect, or where to even find housing, because all I was given was this piece of paper stating that I had a FEPS voucher, right?
Right.
And FEPS vouchers are for people that are facing eviction, right? And are in the court process. So I found myself in that place. I would call landlords, I would call so many brokers. At that time, they were really blatant about their discrimination, right? It wasn't like now that they've become a bit more sophisticated with their techniques and their language. Before then, it was like, no, we don't accept that. Oh, you have kids? No, we don't accept that either. So I don't know. I must have called I'm gonna say within the summer of 2019, I probably called 50 management companies, brokers, landlords. They've all pretty much said no to me. I've reached out to 311 and that was not really positive because my reports didn't go anywhere. I couldn't get in touch with anybody.
Right.
And then I started Googling vouchers, discrimination. I came across this housing survey on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
This organization at that time called Landlord Watch, now known Unlock NYC, which is who I work for, was doing for voucher holders about their process, their housing search process. So I was really interested because anything that involved that, I'm like, wow, anybody's interested in this. I was really surprised because it's really not much resources for people like us out there, right?
Right.
I filled out the survey. The ladies got back to me from the team. They reached out to me. They asked me to come and test out this really new cool tool that they were creating, in which, by the way, Unlock NYC creates tools for New Yorkers that have vouchers that assist them in their housing search. These tools, basically, you can use them to report voucher discrimination or record conversations as well. And then you can file a report with CCHR, which is the Commission on Human Rights of New York. Okay. So from that moment, they asked me to come in, test out the tools. The kind of the rest was kind of history. I kind of stood around, became very involved in the work, not only because it involved what I was going through, but because I was seeing much dire need that it had at that moment, and still does.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I definitely need to get that information out because a lot of people need that. A lot of people are discriminating. Before, when I was pregnant, this is 2000 and my daughter 2015 when I got pregnant with myself, and I at the time I didn't even have a voucher, but I really wanted a voucher. Because I was on bed rest, but I couldn't even be on proper bed rest because I'm like, I'm about to be homeless. I'm about to be homeless. So I had to just kind of do the legwork, be on the phone. And I asked people, do you take vouchers? Everybody I called, no, no, no. So it's like even before 2019, like it's always just been a problem and people just don't care. I asked them, do you take vouchers? No, my job, I have one to give them. I'm like, if I did have one, can you help me out? And everybody I called, no, I got a piece of paper from Canva. And some of them were honestly outdated. When you called them, the numbers not even connected in the first place. But they give you this stack of paper. You're supposed to call these numbers and see if who can help you. And half of them on the paper, when it did work, they can't help you. So like you gave me this paper, say they can help me, and when I get there or talk to them, they're not willing to do anything. So it's kind of sad. But I'm happy that they have this unlock program that really kind of helps people and really makes a difference in people's lives. It's incredible, to be honest.
It is, I went through a lot. I mean, I still go through a lot because between, let's say, from the time, let's say I met the Unlock team, now I started volunteering. Now I'm working as I lead communication. So I work with voucher holders and I work with organizations that assist voucher holders. I help them how to like use the tools. I host monthly workshops so that users can learn how to use the tools and also learn their rights and how to exercise them. But, I had a lot of issues with HRA and Canva along the way. Like I still do. I don't understand how Canva can just issue people pieces of paper and not provide like proper information. That same paper talking about, I got it. Right. Where like they that list of brokers that no longer were even like available, like from 10 years ago. I got it. When I would tell my case manager, like, hey, like, how am I supposed to find this like an apartment if like most of the places I'm calling refuse to take it? Right. They're like, oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I feel like if you're handling, right, if you have a case manager and you're handling a client and your clients are telling you these things, like, these are things that should matter to you. I don't understand why the city gives a program that just doesn't work. Right. And this is just personal opinion. This doesn't mean if this comes from an organization or for anyone else. I don't believe vouchers work. And in order for vouchers to completely work, the city has to enforce SOI law, which means they can't allow landlords and brokers to get away with discrimination. Right. They have to speed up the process of, paperwork, with HRA, with Canva, with inspections, with the moving, with the keys, with the checks. The reality is that nobody wants to wait months before they get checks. Because guess what? People are already moving in with a stigma because they receive government assistance, right? Right, exactly. You're creating this like barrier between the landlord and like the tenant. That puts a tenant in a worse situation with the landlord, right? Definitely. And then let's talk about the policies that come after you have the voucher, right? Where you can't even reach your case manager, where if you start working, you're scared that you might go over the benefit line where you don't even know who to reach out to when you do have to make payment if you are working. Like when, for example, I don't know if you know, in your case, if you have City FEPS, I don't know how City FEPS works this way with FEPS. I didn't get City FEPS either. They would even, oh my gosh. I gotta tell you, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I went through I was living at this lady's house. She was very horrible. She tried to lock me out the apartment with my daughter inside. It was just a mess. And I was like, this is unsafe. I was going to get the cops involved, but I knew her through somebody else and I didn't want to get her in trouble with that. So I was like, you know what? I was like, can you evict me? At first she didn't want to do it. Then she finally evicted me and I was like, thank you. Because the year before I asked Pat, because they denied me several times. They said the only way to get in is with an eviction letter, right? So I got evicted, went to the shelter. They said, oh, because I didn't owe her any money for rent because I was paying my rent on time, right? So he said, I didn't owe any money. All I have is eviction. I didn't qualify. I was automatically taken out because I didn't qualify because I didn't owe her any money. So it's better if I owe her a lot of money and then got evicted. Like, you want me to do two things wrong just to get help. Oh, that's just a side note. I'm sorry. But if you would have gone to Canva, you would have qualified because you would have qualified based on the amount of people in your apartment.
Wow.
because there were too many. How many is it? There's only a certain amount of heartbeats per room. The apartment would have been overcrowded, so you would have
It's a
qualified.
3-bedroom with 4 people.
Yeah, you would have qualified for that. That's what I'm saying. I feel like there's so many rules, right, with each organization, but there's no communication. But each of these organizations, which for example, Canva is a third-party vendor that obviously processes these cases for HRA, like they have their own set of rules, but it's like, why does everybody have their own set of rules? Like they all should like communicate and like and put them on. Like it's crazy. I feel like I find out more information from Facebook groups than from actual case managers.
It's just sad.
Or like the actual websites. It's really sad.
It's really sad. Oh my gosh. So you said you got an eviction, right? To come out your apartment. Did the judge give you a certain amount of time to come out while you were looking? Because he said he was looking for a while to get an apartment, but you couldn't find one. How did that work out for you?
Oh no, my judge. So, okay, I had applied in January of 2019.
Yeah.
I did not get approved until April of 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. I was evicted on July 10th, 2019.
Oh, wow.
Judge gave me April, May, June, 3 months and 10 days. So he gave me 100 days. He gave me 3 months. I had a newborn son at that time.
Oh, man.
So this whole notion of like, oh, like tenants are put first, that is a bull in 3 months.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with a new and my partner. And then from there, we went to stay with my mother until we moved. We found the apartment that we're in now. And that took us a process of approximately 9 months.
That's a long time.
9 months before I found a place that would accept my voucher. And it took 5 months to move in before Canva and HPD processed my paperwork and processed the paperwork for the inspection. Yeah. So we're seeing in total like almost like over a year for
that's crazy.
Basically an average family to move into an apartment with a voucher. Now, we were very lucky that we were able to temporarily stay with my mom, you know? But now think about the 60,000 plus families in these shelters, right? The majority of people in these shelters are families. I will never discount the single woman and single men because there are a lot.
Right.
But there are a lot of children, okay? So what about these children? What about these children that on a daily basis go to public schools and then have to head home to a shelter because they don't have an apartment because they have a voucher, but guess what? The voucher doesn't work.
Exactly.
No?
It's just weird to me. I don't feel like we should say push on these vouchers to landlords, but to be honest, a lot of landlords are losing a lot of money in general because they have a lot of vacancies, but they don't want to take voucher holders in, to be honest.
I mean, it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
I don't see why you wouldn't want to. I mean, listen, FEPS recently got the increase.
Exactly.
February. City FEPS got the increase as well last year, right? After, you know, that big push from a lot of organizers, including Neighbors Together, one of our partners that we worked with at Unlock, and a lot of other grassroots organizations that work with the homeless. What else? Who else is there? Yeah, I couldn't think of. But like the thing is, it's like, oh, and now the emergency housing voucher, that's also new. It's been approved, and that's also marketed, if not even higher than Section 8. So before it was okay, the voucher was still low. All right, fine. Right. Now it's a bit higher. So, you know, now the issue with landlords, and this I could agree with landlords on, I will agree on one thing though, is that the bureaucratic process of a tenant finding an apartment, right? and then going to a case manager and telling them, hey, I found an apartment. What do I do next is a nightmare, because I constantly hear from users that I work with, hey, I found an apartment, but I can't reach my case manager. I haven't been able to reach her for weeks, and I'm scared I'm going to lose this apartment.
Yeah.
So really hard, because not only have you have to face all this discrimination, you finally found a place and a landlord wants to work with you, but you don't have any help from, your case manager. So
right.
how are you able, like, it's like almost mission impossible to like it's like you have to be really on it, because if you're not on it, you're not going to find a place. And it shouldn't be like that, because not everybody's going to be on it. Listen, we all come from different backgrounds. We're all on different journeys. We're all going through different things in life. And some people need more help than others.
Right.
And that's okay. If you need more help, that's okay. So it shouldn't be that only the people that are on it, only the people that know the rights should get their apartments. No, there should be units for everybody.
That's true.
Yeah.
Definitely true. I have a question, because you said you went with your mom after.
Yeah.
You didn't think of going to PATH and even getting because I know they help families pay for rent, and if they didn't even their family's home. You didn't think of doing that, or you thought it's just I don't want to go to shelter, I have my mom here. That's going to be my safe haven for right now.
HRA was helping us with shelter pay.
Okay.
From my mom. Yeah.
So that's not bad. So if you don't know, guys, if even I live in Niger, I don't qualify anymore, but I did qualify. I used to get shelter pay. It's not that much money. With my daughter and I, it's only $283. But when your family is bigger, they do give you more money. And
it does.
I'm gonna put this out there. A lot of people think that, I don't know how some people do it, but you cannot live off of welfare money. The money, the cash that they give you is not a lot. The money they give you for shelter, as I told you, for me and my daughter, $283. No rent in New York City, unless you live in public housing, is $283 a month. So food stamps, it went up with the pandemic. But the way things are expensive in New York, you really can't. Maybe in Florida in the backwoods, or Mississippi or Alabama, those kind of places where it's not that income is very, very low, and things like that. But in New York City, you cannot. I repeat, you cannot live off of welfare. People think that we really out here just not working, living on welfare. No, I have a job and still was on welfare, and I made a little cents over, and they cut me off. So just get that out of your brain. You cannot live off of welfare in New York City. It's impossible
to live off of welfare. There is no such thing as living off of welfare. It's just, that doesn't,
exactly.
There's this where people think that, but no, that doesn't work like that. Yeah.
It definitely is. Just so annoying. People people just living off of welfare. Where? Who? I haven't seen it. And
the government can give help. Let's just say, you know what I mean? The most that they'll issue you is EBT, but when it comes to cash, people are not receiving money like that. That doesn't I don't know anyone like that. That doesn't happen like that. So, and to be honest with you, I feel everyone should be entitled to EBT, especially in New York City, because the income levels, salaries are, wages haven't gone up, inflation is up. Exactly. And think about it, anything below 60,000 is considered low income in New York. Exactly. I feel lower income and middle class should get EBT. Anything below 100,000 should get EBT in New York.
Exactly. And it's sad. It's really sad. I think people who don't live here, they don't understand. They really don't understand how expensive it is to live here. Just to breathe the air at this point is expensive to live in New York. So it's come on.
It really is.
Crazy.
I mean, from daycare to rent, school, food, clothes, car, insurance, everything.
And if you don't have a car, which gas prices are through the roof, you have to still go through the MTA, which is not that great. Between the delays, people get pushed on the train, getting slashed on the train. The buses are crazy. The buses are delayed. You honestly don't want to leave your house.
Stay in your house or walk.
Exactly. If you live that close. Most people don't live close to their job, So it's a whole struggle of things that is really problem, and I just don't understand. So I have another thing. With you living with your mom and having, like you said, you had HRA and all these things, did they give you a hassle to get it, to get your benefits and things like that? Or was it kind of a smooth sailing thing? 'Cause I know after like a certain amount of months, they try to do recertification if you're working, they give you these problems, things like that. How did that work out for you?
Well, at that time, like when, because I've been working with Unlock, but it was most of my work has been volunteer based, so it wasn't
Okay.
like paid ways, paid wise. And in regards to my mom, like they knew that I was living with my mom, but like her income has nothing to do with mine, like I wasn't
Right.
depending on her. Like the thing is, like it's as long as you don't file taxes together, then that shouldn't be an issue, right?
Right.
In terms of benefits, like I've never had issue like with them issuing it. I always had issue with just them like staying on top of it. Like there's always issues like with like recertification,
Right.
or like them issuing like, I don't know, putting in the wrong code in the system, or them like they closed my case accidentally in December. Things like that for that notion, but never like they wouldn't give me the benefits. But then again, I wasn't working like that, it's more volunteer based.
You know what's annoying to me?
Yeah.
Like if a person, all right, say they close their case one time.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like an ongoing thing. I had welfare for a long time, more than I want to admit that I had it to be over. Like over 10 years, I've had it because I've never was able. Mind you, I have a college degree, I have a bachelor's degree, but it's very hard for me to get a full-time job. And I've applied to them. It's not like I haven't applied to them. I haven't applied to. I have applied to them, but I haven't gotten it. So it's like to live in New York, I have to have part-time plus be on welfare, and then I have a child. So it's like that also, and then I have to think about when I got older with my kid, because I village college, I want to say middle 20s. So it's like, that kind of worked out, and I was way at school. So I wasn't on it. Like when I was at school, I kind of had it, then I only had food stamps, but I didn't have the rest of it. So it's like, I was off and on different things. But I had to do both. And with a child, you just can't leave a kid with anybody. Some people do. I personally don't. So certain jobs I couldn't do because I have my child. So it's just an ongoing thing. And it's like 1 minute, mind you, at this point, I've been living at night since 2018. So HRA have closed my account several times after I give them paperwork. One time is okay. 2 times, but 3, 4, 5 times, nah. Something is happening. It can't be a mistake every single time. It cannot be a mistake every single time. It doesn't make any sense. So something is really fishy going on over at these centers. It doesn't make any sense. Something is disconnecting. I don't understand.
I also feel that they're understaffed, right?
Right.
So they may not have the proper staffing. I also feel that they lack a lot of technology that can make their jobs easier.
Definitely.
They're very tech deficiency for a very big organization that handles millions of cases of New Yorkers, which is kind of surprising, right? You would think there would be
surprised.
Have you been on their app though, by the way?
No, I have the Access HRA. I have. I'm surprised they have that app. It came out a couple of years ago. As I said, I've been on it for over 10 years. So I've seen them progress for what they are. I realize a lot of governmental things are always behind in technology. God forbid, they keep to buy technology. Like example, the IRS. Before that happened, they were behind with their computers. The computers are over 20 years old. That's a problem for me. You handle my money and your equipment that you're using is over this. I have laptops that lasted less than that. So I'm very confused on how you can use equipment from like the 90s. But whatever, a little bit after that. It doesn't make any sense. I work at a college. They say they haven't got new laptops in years. And college make money because tuition is so high. That's a city college. So a lot of government stuff, technology is always behind the rest of the world, which I don't understand because they're making so much money from other entities. It doesn't make any sense. Well, I don't know. I digress. I'm sorry.
No, fine. I agree. It makes no sense to me when I look at these government websites. Like you said, the IRS, like all they have is that little IRS tracker. You know what I'm talking about? That looks like the Domino's tracker when it tells you your refund has been accepted. Your refund has been. Yeah, I'm like, really, guys? This is like from like 2001. But with HRA, like I feel like they should invest more into the technology. It would probably make the lives of their case managers that are so like overwhelmed by so many clients much easier. I'm sure they have the budget for it. They have the money.
Right.
Um, about allocating those funds to the proper resources. But you're right about government. They're always so behind on technology. I don't understand why.
It doesn't
Always.
make any sense.
It doesn't.
I would think that if technology is so, if everything is so behind, easy to get hacked, easier for the, I just think it's just so many negative to have old things. People have new iPhones. Shoot, people iPhones are better than these computers that they have. So I don't, I don't understand. The layman
Yeah.
person have a better device than you have. It doesn't make sense. All of their apps, example, Wake. I had Wake for my daughter, and I have it for my foster daughter. Since, mind you, I haven't used Wake in probably 2-3 years. That app has not updated either. I'm happy they
No,
have a WIC card. The most, I think, some, not all states have WIC cards. Some do.
no, they
So I'm happy they updated, but it's like your app looks less than Facebook. So Facebook been out for years. It doesn't. So what tool did I make it for? It doesn't make sense.
you know what it is? You know why it's embarrassing? Because I feel like they're trying to say that people that are on benefits are too stupid to understand technology. That's what they're telling me.
It could
right?
be.
And
It
only people with money can understand apps. But people that are low income and are in social programs, well, who cares about them, right? Why should we spend money on technology? They're too dumb to even understand that. Lies, because that's completely lie. If anything, we spend money on apps. You know, if you go
we spend a lot of money.
we spend a lot of money on apps. We want technology and we want our lives to be easier. I just feel like it's sad that they don't feel like they should invest at least in that sense to make people's lives and like the accessibility of their benefits much faster, you know, onto their phones, right? Like you said, WIC. I have WIC, and you're right. Their website is horrible. Like it reminds me of like those websites, like those, remember those AOL websites people would create? Like
yes.
It reminds me of that. It's so cringy. I went to other day and to see like my balance because I couldn't get through on the phone. Oh my God, it was just horrible. Like I was just like, I'm just gonna go to the store. Like they'll print the receipt for me and tell me instead.
I don't get it. I really just don't understand and comprehend how it's okay for this to be happening. I'm not saying that we need the state-of-the-art stuff, but even when HRA just came out with Access HRA, because a lot of people, the problem also training is just off. Because they had the app, and the employees didn't know how to go in the system to look for the app stuff. Because apparently it's not connected. I don't know if it's different. It's not connected the same way, like if you go in the office itself and they put things in, it's not in the same kind of files. So first of all, I gave this in. He said, no, you didn't. I'm like, what are you talking about? I gave it in. I said, no, you didn't. I'm like, I put it into the app, so I know I gave it in. I have I can show you on the app where I did it. It said, oh, it's on the app. How long did he put it in? Because first of all, if you put it in the app, I feel like it should upload on the end automatically. They say it take a couple of days. I don't know how true that is, if they're lying to me or not, but that's what they say. So when they get it, they have to look somewhere else to get it. I would think if you're a worker, if a person said they handed it in, take a benefit of the doubt and look everywhere you know it possibly can be to be put in there. So it doesn't. I just don't get it. I don't know.
You know, I think you're right because I don't think they even have any. I don't know if they have any form of systems at HRA. They should probably do some internal training. I don't know how it would work. I mean, I feel like I'm all for internal trainings to, you know, to help employees like, you know, better at their jobs.
Right.
But I had like a funny, interesting conversation with a worker yesterday because he's asking me about my case. Like he calls me, he's asking about my case, 7 p.m. right?
Wow.
I know. So I'm like, all right, what's up? And he's asking me all these questions. And I'm like, sir, like by any chance, like, do you like take notes of this? Like, is it on the system? They're like, and he's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure somebody takes notes.
Wow.
And I was so mortified. I was like, so you're telling me like nobody takes notes? Like you have all these clients in the database and like you talk to people and like no one notes things in the system. Like I don't know. It's such a disorganized way of handling people and handling benefits. I don't understand it. I understand people's frustration with HRA. I get it. Like, I never understood it before until I went through the system. Now I get it. I get it 100%.
So I have another thing because I don't know if you know I do a YouTube channel. So a lot of people ask me about FEPS and City FEPS, and then you're a voucher holder, and
Mhm.
I just want to know the steps because I have interviewed people who are FEPS people who work on the other side, but I
Okay.
feel like I don't do as much interviews with people who actually have the voucher itself because I feel like this is all right. Is their way of doing it, but is the actual way it's happening, Because
Okay.
everybody have the rules of things happening, but it doesn't happen that way when it actually comes out to the product. So
Okay.
people always ask me, what am I waiting for, this and that. So I want you to explain it to people. It's like I always tell them myself, and I want to know, what's the steps when you do city FEPS or FEPS voucher?
Okay.
How does it go? How does it go for the person who's getting it point of view? What do you think you have to put in? What's a good thing people should know to do?
Well, with City FEPS, you have to know that you apply for that usually within a week when you're at a voucher, and your case manager will help you out with that, right? And with FEPS, you usually, once, let's say, you are in the process of not even like eviction. Okay, so when I received a 30 days notice, I went to court. I went to my first court hearing. I went to HRA. I asked them, like, what were my options? I had no idea what a voucher was, let's just say, right? Never had any experience with it. They explained to me, like, I qualify.
Hey guys, thank you for listening this far. So we're gonna get into the juicier details about how city FEPs really work for people, from getting from a person who actually went through the process. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I know it cut off kind of wonky, but you'll get the rest of the information in next week's episode. Thank you for coming back, and follow us on all our social media platforms, and I'll see you next time. Bye.